Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are talking about longevity. I don't know if that comes out well, but there's the illustration. Beautiful, beautiful as always. I will read it out in a minute here. But yeah, we're going to talk about longevity. And this is a topic that I have always been very fascinated in. I think part of the reason is because I grew up very connected to my grandparents, and all four of them actually were very healthful, um, full of life, very focused on living a good life. Their health was always a very big priority to them, and the idea of having that longevity, of like leaving a lasting impression on people, I think all four of them do that very well and did that very well. They all left a very lasting impression on their loved ones, on the people they met in their lives. And it's just a topic I've always been fascinated in. I've been fascinated with the blue zones, which are the 5 places on Earth where people live the longest. I have always been, I don't know, I've just had a lot of respect for elderly people in my life. And I'm always interested in their stories, in everything that they have survived and everything they've done in their life. I've always been so interested in their own wisdom and asking them questions about, how to live a good life, what to do, the secrets that they hold. Because, having survived many trips around the sun, you pick up a thing or two about how to live the good life and how to truly enjoy and live without regret. So it's all about longevity, baby. So this passage, there are many different translations of it. It's verse number 33 or chapter 33 in the Tao Te Ching. Feel free to look up the different versions. Like I said, I will read it out at the end. But essentially, this talks about... I'll read the last 2 lines because I think they're kind of important for what I want to talk about. So, someone who does not lose their place in the world will live long, but one who dies and whose presence remains achieves true longevity. So it's about leaving a lasting impression, which might seem a little bit different than what the Tao talks about, because a lot of the Tao's wisdom comes from living in the moment, going with the flow, allowing things to come into your life and leave freely. A lot of the wisdom in the Tao isn't about making a lasting impression or, staking your flag into the soil and declaring this is my spot. The Tao isn't really about that. It's sort of about appreciating life's fleeting joys and pleasures and achievements. It's not really about building some long, great empire or something like that. So this might seem a little bit counteractive to some of the other verses, but I think it actually fits in really well, because I think in the absolute best way to interpret this passage is about positivity. And if you don't know who I am very focused on positivity, making people smile, bringing a little bit of joy to people's lives. That's what I'm on here to do. That is mission number 1 for me. And I think the idea of having a legacy that inspires that is true immortality and longevity in many ways. I really don't care if these videos end up, in the trash bin of history. What I do care about is that the people watching them gain a little bit of wisdom, maybe a little bit of insight, maybe they laugh, maybe they smile. Even if the intention behind these videos isn't achieved, but it still has a positive impact on the people watching, I feel like I've done my job, and I feel like that is the impact I want to have. I was recently asked about what I'm exactly trying to do on social media and with all these things that I'm doing, and I said to them that I just want to leave people feeling better than when they first started the video or started whatever they were watching. And that is like a real central theme in my life. I'm really interested in trying to leave things slightly better than I found them. I've always been interested in sort of my family's history, recording the stories and the fun events. I'm the guy always taking pictures and videos at family functions and stuff like that. And I derive almost all of my pleasure out of making sure that everybody else has a great time. And I wasn't always like this, but it's definitely something that I'm working towards and I try to achieve as best I can. And I think that is a really good path to longevity. It also helps that I live my life in a very sustainable way. I'm very interested in my own personal health, whether that's mental, physical, what I'm eating, my spiritual health. I'm really interested in trying to be able to do everything that I do as long as possible. I realize that like I have no desire to live forever. You know, if some billionaire comes out next week with a pill that stops the aging process, I'm not really interested in that. I am interested in growing old, experiencing all of the different human life cycles, and eventually disappearing into the grass, you know, disappearing into the trees. I I don't want to live forever. I don't want to have this like immortal life of opulence and, you know, like non-sustainability. Um, I want to have a positive impression and then disappear into the cosmic Tao, into the energy that was there before I was born and it will be there long after I was ever a thing. So I think that is how I want to view longevity. Briefly, we're going to quickly talk about society and the idea of longevity. I think a lot of Western society is geared towards, you know, simple short term pleasure. And we really don't think about longevity, sustainability, leaving the planet better than we found it. There are many aspects of Western society that are very, um, you know, you throw it away immediately. You don't respect the objects we have in our life. We don't take care of these things. We don't try and keep using the same, you know, things in our lives constantly. It's replaceable. It's we get rid of it. We throw it out. You know, we have a lot of trash and waste. And I think that is really sad for a society that, you know, is attempting to get better at that. You know, we're attempting to become more sustainable, but we still have a very long way to go. And so living your life in terms of, you know, I'm going to be here for a while, so I need to treat the earth well. I need to treat myself well. I need to treat others well. Those kinds of long-term processes that you think of and those mindsets are really productive, because if you just think of the short term, you're going to leave a lot of damage and a lot of debris. But if you have like a 20-year plan and that plan involves helping produce a better world, not only will you live a good life in the moment and in the present, but it also builds onto the future and it creates a better place. And it's one of those things that people often complain about, how our political system is very short term oriented. You know, every politician is just trying to get reelected. And so we're unable to think into the future 20 years ahead. And that is a real shame about, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way. I think democracy works, but it is a shame that essentially we are stuck in these 4-year election cycles where, you know, one party gets in and makes all these changes, and then 4 years later the next party gets in and removes all those changes and brings us back to where we were before. And that really isn't a longevity kind of mindset. It's very short term, it's very self serving, and I think it's very much against what the Tao teaches us. So I think those are the aspects that I'm interested in. Longevity obviously has a lot of different meanings, whether it's living long, it's living sustainable, it's being able to maintain a specific amount of movement or pressure or influence. Longevity has a lot of different concepts in it. It's tied to age and wisdom, which is obviously very important to the Tao, very important in many different societies, to respect our elders, to treat them with dignity, um, and to try and learn from our past mistakes and learn from their past mistakes. So those are the concepts that I'm really interested in this particular topic. Um, yeah, I love to hear your thoughts on longevity. I used to think that I wanted to live to 104 years old, and now I am just happy to exist. And whether I live to be 34 or 104, um, I hope I live every day full of love, full of happiness, leaving a good impression, making people feel like they value and they matter. Because you do, because we all do. It's as simple as that. So, guys, I'm going to read the verse, but thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Longevity. Someone who knows men has only knowledge, but to know yourself is perception. Someone who conquers men has only force, but to conquer yourself is true strength. To recognize sufficiency is to be rich. To hold a steadfast course is to have will. Someone who does not lose their place in the world will live long, but one who dies and whose presence remains achieves true longevity.